I transmigrated into a cannon fodder character in a cultivation sect. The sect's most revered and virtuous Saintess was a villain destined to become a demon and slaughter the entire sect. After the original male lead died, she would drag everyone to their graves with her, including my family. To save my life, I became her most devout junior brother. When the Saintess was slandered, I was the first to stand up. Who dares touch my senior sister? When the Saintess felt cold, I warmed her hand stove every day. Senior sister, with me here, you will never be cold. When the Saintess was about to be engaged to the original male lead, I hugged her leg and cried, Senior sister, don't marry someone else. You promised to always be with me. The coldness in her eyes gradually melted, and for my sake, she repeatedly rejected the chosen one. I thought I had successfully redeemed her and was preparing to retire with my mission accomplished, but she locked me in the holy hall. The usually aloof Saintess had an undisguised madness in her eyes. Junior brother, you said you would always be with me. Now, I've taken it seriously. On my wrist, a radiant celestial chain clung coldly to my skin. This wasn't a magical artifact, but a cage woven by my senior sister, G. Ewening, with her own hands. I couldn't break free. I played the role of an adoring simp for 3 whole years, believing I had successfully pulled her back from the path of becoming a world-destroying demon. She had indeed changed from an iceberg that wouldn't melt for 10,000 years to a little rabbit clinging to me. I naively thought I could retire with my mission accomplished and go home to inherit my family's 100 acres of immortal fields. Until 3 days ago, when I said goodbye to her. One moment my senior sister was speaking to me gently. The next she had sealed off the entire holy hall. Junior brother, try this, your favorite osmanthus cake. G. Ewening held a jade plate, sat beside my bed, picked up a piece of cake, and personally offered it to my lips. Her tone was gentle enough to drip with water, as were her actions. But I only felt bone-chilling cold. I turned my head away, avoiding it. Senior sister, what exactly do you want? The hand holding the pastry froze in midair, and the smile on her face faded slightly. Junior brother doesn't like it? Then I'll get you something else. That's not what I mean. I raised my shackled wrist, almost roaring. Ye Evening, this is imprisonment. She tilted her head, and on that aloof and peerless face, a hint of confusion and hurt that I had never seen before appeared. Junior brother, didn't you say we would never be apart? That was just to make you happy. I blurted out thoughtlessly. Clatter. The jade plate slipped from her hand, and pastries shattered all over the floor. She stood up and walked towards me step by step, her fingertip tracing my Adam's apple, bringing a shiver. Junior brother, I took it seriously. I was horrified to discover that the entire Holy Temple's restrictions had been rewritten by her in a way I couldn't understand at all. Not to mention me, not even a fly could escape. My little bit of formation knowledge gleaned from books was as fragile as paper in front of her. Holy Maiden, the sect leader and elders request an audience. A respectful voice came from outside the hall. The madness on G. Ewening's face instantly receded, and she returned to her aloof and saintly appearance. She walked to the door and dismissed the sect leader and elders with a few words through the door. Tell them I am in seclusion with my junior brother, comprehending the supreme Tao, and no one is to disturb us. After dismissing everyone, she turned back to the hall, and the look in her eyes as she looked at me became even more obsessive, even more insane. See, no one can disturb us now. My whole body turned cold, and I realized for the first time what kind of monster I had redeemed. I decided to feign obedience, stabilize her first, and then find an opportunity to escape. I forced out a smile that was uglier than crying. Senior sister, I am hungry. The gloom in her eyes vanished, and she immediately became gentle again, going back to prepare food for me. I took the opportunity to survey every corner of the Holy Temple, trying to find a weak point in the restrictions. She brought a bowl of hot porridge to me, as if seeing through my thoughts, hugging me even tighter and whispering softly in my ear. Don't even think about it. You're sent. Even if you run to the ends of the earth, I can find you. Late at night, I woke up once again from the massacre scene in the original story, covered in cold sweat. Opening my eyes, I met a pair of clear, bright eyes. She hadn't been sleeping, just quietly watching me. Seeing me wake up, she reached out and gently kissed the sweat from my forehead with her fingertip. "Don't be afraid. With me here, no one can hurt you." At that moment, I felt for the first time that her madness was another form of protection. But this protection was suffocating me. I finally broke down, grabbing her wrist and questioning her hoarsely. "Yevon Inc., why are you doing this to me?" Her eyes instantly looked wounded, like a small animal cruelly abandoned by its owner. "Because Junior Brother is going to leave me." She cupped my face in her hands, her eyes shifting from wounded to fervent and reverent. "You said you would never be cold, but once you leave, my world will only be left with snow and ice. So, I can only lock you up. That way, you will always be my little son." I must escape. I knew better than anyone how terrifying Ji Yuaning's obsession was. I began to plan my second escape. I knew that she had a brief gap in her cultivation every day at noon, when her mind would sink into her sea of consciousness, and her perception of the outside world would be reduced to a minimum. This was my only chance. I used my 3 years of understanding her to find the perfect breakthrough. A year ago, I had personally carved a wooden puppet for her, which contained a trace of my spiritual sense. I spent a lot of effort, urging that trace of spiritual sense to create a fake me aura in the bedchamber. Then, I secretly contacted my father's hidden agent within the sect, an old servant who was loyal to my family, and asked him to meet me in the green maple forest outside the sect. Noon arrived. I could feel Ji Yuaning's breath becoming long and steady as she entered a deep state of cultivation. Now is the time. I held my breath and used the prepared talisman to sneak out of the holy hall silently. The moment the long-awaited sunlight shone on my body, I almost burst into tears of joy. Freedom! I dared not linger for even a moment and rushed towards the mountain gate with all my strength. Inside the holy hall, Ji Yuaning suddenly opened her eyes, a trace of violence flashing within them. She felt it. Lin Ye's aura was rapidly moving away. "Junior Brother, you lied to me again." Her figure flashed and disappeared from the spot. I ran out of the sect and saw the anxious figure waiting in the green maple forest. It was Uncle Fu. "Young master, hurry," Uncle Fu urged, pulling me to get into the prepared carriage. Just as I stepped one foot onto the carriage, an irresistible, chilling coldness swept over me from behind. The entire green maple forest was instantly silent. I stiffly turned my head. Ji Yuaning stood behind me, her face devoid of anger or sorrow, only a chilling stillness and serenity. "Junior Brother, is this how much you want to leave me?" Her voice was light, gentle, yet like an ice pick piercing into my bone marrow. Butler Fu stood in front of me, scolding with outward ferocity but inward fear. "Holy maiden, in broad daylight, are you trying to abduct a commoner?" Ji Yuaning ignored him. She didn't even touch me. Her gaze passed over me and landed on Butler Fu. Just a single glance. The terror on Butler Fu's face solidified. A layer of frost spread at a speed visible to the naked eye from his feet to his entire body. Crack! A crisp sound. A living person before my eyes turned into an ice sculpture. Then, shattered into countless ice crystals scattered across the ground. My mind went blank and I trembled like a sieve. This was the first time I had witnessed, with my own eyes, the terrifying power that belonged to her as a fallen demon villain. She walked over and gently smoothed the wrinkles in my clothes from running, her tone still doting. "Junior Brother, I told you, don't force me. I don't like others touching what's mine." After speaking, she ignored my struggles and swept me up into her arms. Her cold lips pressed against my ear, her voice carrying a hint of morbid satisfaction. "This is the first time and the last. If there's a next time, it won't be him who shatters, but your adorable family." I completely gave up resisting and my body went limp. Despair utterly consumed me. My escape failed. I implicated my loyal servant and even dragged in my family. I completely resigned myself to my fate. At least, until I found a foolproof method, I dared not make any more reckless moves. I began to play the part of a well-behaved, caged bird. Ji Yuning became increasingly doting on me, fulfilling almost any request, except for freedom. She gathered the rarest spiritual fruits in the world for me and cooked the most delicious dishes. She would even set aside the airs of Saintess, awkwardly tying up my hair and helping me change clothes. But I knew the chain never left my wrist. Just when I thought this sweet imprisonment would last until the end of time, it was broken by an uninvited guest. The original male lead, Xiao Fan. He arrived. As the chosen one of destiny, his entrance was extremely ostentatious. Clad in seven-colored auspicious light, he came riding on auspicious clouds, claiming that he and Yumiao sect's Saintess Ji Yuning were destined by fate to be together. The sect elders were overjoyed. Ji Yuning was the future of the sect, but her personality was too aloof, and her cultivation was unfathomable, so no one could subdue her. Xiao Fan's appearance gave them hope for a powerful alliance, and for the sect to reach even greater heights. They immediately made arrangements to have Xiao Fan and Ji Yuning meet. However, Ji Yuning rejected them with a single sentence. I am currently in seclusion, accompanying my junior brother in cultivation. I will not be seeing guests. The news spread, and the entire Yumiao sect exploded. Accompanying her junior brother in cultivation? Which junior brother? Linye. My God, the holy maiden actually rejected the chosen one for a man. In that instant, everyone looked at me with strange eyes. I became the holy maiden's plaything kept in the holy temple. Walking on the road, those fellow disciples who were once somewhat kind to me now looked at me with eyes full of disdain and jealousy. It's him, a useless person who only knows how to rely on women. Shameless. How could the holy maiden take a fancy to someone like that? I lowered my head, pretending not to hear, but my heart was filled with irritability. Xiao Fan, as the chosen one, would naturally not let things go. After being rejected, he directly blocked the entrance of the holy temple, calling for a fight. His words were filled with contempt and provocation towards me. Linye, if you're a man, get out here. What kind of skill is it to hide behind a woman? A waist like you doesn't deserve to be by the holy maiden's side at all. The door of the holy temple opened. Ji Yuning held my hand and appeared in front of the hall. In front of everyone, she gently straightened my slightly disheveled collar and asked me softly, "Did he disturb you?" I saw Xiao Fan's face, which was full of destiny is with me. The world is invincible. Instantly turn ashen. A morbid, twisted sense of pleasure surged from the bottom of my heart. Xiao Fan was completely enraged. He stopped wasting words and directly used the luck oppression belonging to the chosen one. An invisible pressure rolled towards me, wanting to make me kneel and make a fool of myself in front of everyone. My face turned pale, and I felt my legs weaken. Ji Yuning just glanced at him coldly. That pressure instantly dissipated. The dazzling golden light of luck around Xiao Fan's body dimmed a bit, and even made him uncontrollably take a step back. She looked around, her voice not loud, but clear enough for everyone to hear. My Tao companion will only ever be Linyi. All others are but dust. Back in the hall, she closed the door and pinned me against it. This time, I didn't resist her closeness. I looked at her, and possessed by a sudden impulse, asked, "Senior sister, are you really only able to have me?" She didn't answer, but lowered her head and kissed my eyes. Her lips were cold, but the words she uttered were filled with scalding infatuation. Before it was to survive, now you are my life. My heart shuddered violently. I fell. Amidst Ji Yuning's domineering declaration and affectionate confession, my disguised heart began to beat uncontrollably for her. I began to try to accept this suffocating love. Even, I would proactively respond to her kisses and embraces. She was overjoyed, but her possessiveness towards me didn't lessen in the slightest. The way she looked at me became more and more like she was looking at a treasure that belonged only to her. I thought we would just continue like this forever, until the original novel's female protagonist, Suro, found me. That day, the sect organized its disciples to enter a secret realm for training. Ji Yuning, afraid I'd be bored, brought me along as well. But she protected me too closely, never leaving my side. Suro used a natural maze within the secret realm to briefly evade Ji Yuning's watch and appeared before me. The first thing she did upon seeing me was to get straight to the point. Do you want to kill her? I was stunned. I don't understand what you mean. Suro's expression was urgent. She quickly said, "You and I are the same. We're not from this world. We're both in a book. I'm the original female lead. Xiao Fan is the original male lead. And Ji Yuning is the ultimate villain destined to be subdued by Xiao Fan and eventually sacrifice herself for him." My brain buzzed. My identity as a transmigrator was my biggest secret. How did she know? You forcibly changed the plot, making Ji Yuning fall in love with you. The world's will is self-correcting. Haven't you noticed how unlucky she's been lately? Su Ro's words exploded in my head like a thunderclap. I remembered that Ji Yuning had almost gone berserk during her cultivation a few days ago. Once, her alchemy cauldron inexplicably exploded. At the time, I just thought it was an accident, but now, my heart sank bit by bit. If this continues, to correct the plot, the heavenly Tao will directly obliterate her. Su Ro's voice was full of enticement. Let go, Linyi. Let her return to her original destiny. Don't you want to save her? Letting her be with Xiao Fan is the only way to truly save her. After the plot is corrected, she can't at least survive instead of being completely annihilated. This is also for your own good, for your family. Do you want to watch her be obliterated by the heavenly Tao and then have the whole world buried with her? In the distance, Ji Yuning's anxious calls came. Junior brother, Linye, where are you? I saw a panic and fear on her face that I had never seen before, as if she had lost the whole world. Su Ro's words were like a vicious curse, echoing repeatedly in my mind. Your love for her is the poison that will kill her. Your possession of her is personally pushing her towards destruction. I was plunged into immense pain and conflict. Should I selfishly possess her, and then watch helplessly as she might be erased by the so-called way of heaven? Or should I push her away, letting her be with a man I despise and disdain, in exchange for her safety? Ji Yuning finally found me. Seeing my pale face, she rushed over anxiously and hugged me. Shitty, what's wrong? Are you feeling unwell? Who bullied you? I looked into her concerned eyes, feeling the warmth of her embrace. But my mind was filled with Su Ro's words. You're the one harming her. My heart ached so much I couldn't breathe. I looked at her, and for the first time, the thought of pushing her away myself arose. To save her, I had to make her disappointed in me, make her hate me. I began to be cold to Ji Yuning. She fed me food with her own hands, as usual, but I directly waved my hand and knocked the dishes to the ground. I'm not a 3-year-old. I can eat myself. She was stunned, a hint of hurt flashing in her eyes, but she still picked up the shards on the ground and smiled gently at me. Okay, if Shitty wants to eat himself, he can eat himself from now on. She stewed calming soup for me all night and carefully brought it to me. I looked at the dark circles under her eyes, and my heart ached like it was being cut. But I couldn't be soft-hearted. I swept the soup bowl to the ground, and the scalding soup splashed on the back of her hand, turning it red instantly. But she didn't seem to feel the pain, just staring blankly at me. I hardened my heart and said in the coldest voice, I've had enough. Ji Yuning, I'm not your pet. I saw the light in her eyes extinguish instantly. Her body trembled slightly uncontrollably, but she still tried to squeeze out a smile that was uglier than crying. Junior brother, don't be angry. It's my fault. I didn't do well. The more carefully and ingratiatingly she tried to please me, the more my guilt and pain churned inside me like a stormy sea. But I had to continue. I began deliberately chatting and laughing with other female disciples in the sect, making sure she saw it. She didn't rush over to question me, nor did she get angry. She simply stood quietly, watching from a distance. That look in her eyes, as deep and still as a pool of stagnant water, unfathomable, sent chills down my spine. That night, the female disciple who had exchanged a few words with me completely disappeared from the sect, vanished without a trace, neither alive nor dead. I instantly woke up. I was wrong. I thought my indifference would make her let go, but I forgot that it would only ignite a deeper level of madness within her. She was never saved by me. Her obsession and madness were merely wrapped in love and hidden even deeper. I had no choice. I had to use my last resort. It was the Lin family's heirloom, a life-saving treasure passed down through generations, a heaven-escaping talisman capable of breaking all restrictions in the world and randomly teleporting someone billions of miles away. There was only one. Once used, there would be no more. I left her a letter. The letter was filled with the most heartless and hurtful words imaginable. I said I never loved her, and that approaching her was only to use her. I said that every day I was with her, I felt disgusted and suffocated. I said I would rather die than be her prisoner again. At the end of the letter, I wrote, "Forget me and live the life you were meant to have." The moment I crushed the talisman, golden light enveloped me. The tearing pain of space was not even a 10,000th of the pain in my heart. I seemed to hear her heart-wrenching, desperate cries coming from within the holy temple behind me. My heart was shattered, but I told myself, "Lin Yi, this is right. For her to live, this is the only right choice." The heaven-escaping talisman teleported me to a distant continent. Here, the spiritual energy is thin, and almost everyone is immortal. I appeared in a bustling mortal city, feeling a long-lost sense of freedom, but with an emptiness in my heart. I changed into coarse mortal clothes, found a small roadside tavern, ordered a pot of the strongest wine, and poured it down my throat, cup after cup. The spicy liquid burned my esophagus, but it couldn't numb the pain in my heart. The sound of her crying always echoed in my ears. Am I really doing the right thing? I shook my head, trying to drive her image from my mind. Lin Yi, don't think about it. This is for her own good. She will be with Xiao Fan, and she will live. And you are free. But why is this taste of freedom so bitter? The third day, dusk. I sat alone on the second floor of the tavern, watching the crowds of people and the endless stream of traffic outside the window. Suddenly, the whole city fell silent. Time seemed to be paused at this moment. The pedestrians on the street remained frozen in various poses. The sunset glow on the horizon was stirred by an invisible force, coalescing into a blood-like red. A figure walked step by step out of the blood-red sunset. She was dressed in white, whiter than snow, yet stained with frost and dust. Her face was as pale as paper, and her usually neat robes were even slightly torn. It was Ji Yuaning. She found me. In just 3 days, she had crossed hundreds of millions of miles of space to find me. She saw me. The moment our eyes met, her already bloodshot eyes instantly became filled with more blood vessels. A world-destroying, killing intent grew wildly from her body, covering the entire bustling city in a layer of frost. I thought she would kill me, or like she crushed Uncle Fu, grind everyone in this city into dust. But she didn't. She just walked up to me, to this table of mine. She reached out a trembling hand, as if wanting to touch my cheek, but didn't dare. As if I were a fragile illusion that would shatter at a touch. Finally, her fingertip gently landed on my face. A warm sensation was transmitted. In her hollow eyes, there was finally a hint of light. Alive, she murmured to herself, her voice terribly hoarse. The next second, she hugged me in her arms, regardless of everything. The force was so great that it almost crushed my bones. I could clearly feel the trembling of her body and the fear that went deep into her bones. She was whispering in my ear, repeatedly, mechanically. Found it. Finally found it. Junior brother, don't leave me again. Please. Please, please. Warm liquid dripped onto my neck. This was the first time I'd ever seen her cry. Not silent tears, but a suppressed whimper from deep within her throat, carrying a bloody scent. like a child who had been lost in the darkness for a very long time, finally finding the light. At this moment, my defenses completely crumbled. I raised my hand and hugged her thin back. Only then did I realize how wrong I had been. What heavenly Tao, what correction! The one I had pushed away with my own hands was the only person in this world who loved me with her life. I held her and told her everything that Su-ro had said, without holding anything back. I thought she would be angry, would go and settle scores with Su-ro. But after Ji Yuning listened, she just quietly leaned in my arms, and then she smiled. The laughter was very soft, but it carried an icy, bone-chilling coolness. My silly junior brother. She raised her head and kissed my chin. You actually believe such nonsense? She took my hand and stood up. Come, senior sister will take you to see a good show. With a single step, the scenery before my eyes shifted and changed. By the time I regained my senses, we were no longer in that mortal tavern, but had appeared in an elegant room. The original novel's male protagonist, Xiao Fan's residence. And in the room, beside Xiao Fan, there was another person. Su-ro. She was speaking to Xiao Fan with a shy expression. Xiao Fan Gidge, don't worry, destiny cannot be defied. Ji Yuning will soon change her mind and return to your side. Seeing us appear out of nowhere, especially seeing me holding Ji Yuning's hand tightly, the color drained from Su-ro's face instantly. Xiao Fan was stunned at first, then burst into rage. Yi Yuning, Linye, you. Ji Yuning didn't even bother to give him a glance. She only looked at Su-ro, who was slumped on the ground, her voice ice-cold. The so-called destiny you speak of is to have him steal what's mine? She raised her hand and made a grabbing motion toward Xiao Fan. A dazzling ray of golden light was forcibly extracted from Xiao Fan's body against his will. It was the luck belonging to the favored son of destiny. No, my luck! Xiao Fan screamed in terror, trying to stop her, but was powerless. The strand of golden luck condensed into a ball of light in Ji Yuning's palm. Without even looking at it, she gently squeezed it in front of all of us. The ball of light instantly turned into powder, dissipating in the air. Now, his destiny is gone, Ji Yuning announced calmly. After doing all this, she finally turned to me, the icy and bloodthirsty look in her eyes instantly transforming into endless tenderness and doting. Shitty, see clearly. In this world, there is no such thing as destiny. If I don't allow it, even the heavenly Tao cannot move you a single hair. Su-ro collapsed on the ground, trembling like a leaf, muttering incessantly, impossible. Impossible. Xiao Fan, after losing his luck, seemed to have all his vitality drained, aging decades in an instant and falling unconscious. As for me, I was deeply shocked by Ji Yuning's earth-shattering domineering power. The last trace of fear and doubt I had towards her vanished, replaced by fervent worship and absolute peace of mind. With her, what heavenly Tao, what world's will were nothing but jokes. I thought things would end just like that. But I didn't expect that the destruction of Xiao Fan's luck would trigger something hidden deeper within him. A force of rules, even colder and more ruthless than the will of the heavenly Tao, locked onto me. It was an indescribable sense of mortal danger, as if I would be completely erased from this world in the next second. I become a bug. Ji Yuning's expression changed instantly. She pulled me behind her and said softly, "Don't be afraid, just go to sleep." She gently tapped my forehead, and an irresistible drowsiness swept over me, and I fell into a deep sleep. While I was asleep, I didn't know. Ji Yuning's consciousness entered a pure white, boundless space. A cold, emotionless mechanical voice echoed in the space. Warning, detected world line anomaly Lin Yi, causing serious interference to the main storyline. Initiating termination program. Ji Yuning's eyes were even colder than the mechanical voice. You tried touching him. Behind her, one side was a surging demonic aura, and the other was boundless immortal light. Two diametrically opposed forces strangely merged within her, emitting an aura that made even space tremble. Warning, detected insurmountable threat. Threat level, maximum. Initiate alternative plan, transaction. Abandon interference with the main storyline to preserve the anomaly Lin Yi. Ji Yuning let out a cold laugh, her laughter filled with disdain. No, it is you who submit to me. She looked at the core of the pure white space and said, word by word, from now on, will is the main storyline. Protocol conflict, rules do not allow. I said, I allow it. Ji Yuning reached out her hand, and a flame burning with the essence of her divine soul appeared in her palm. At the cost of a portion of her most core essence, she forcibly invaded this so-called system and tampered with its core rules. Rules rewriting. Target, Lin Yi. Priority level elevated to highest. Worldline foundation has been changed. His will is the will of the world. After doing all this, Ji Yuning's figure also became somewhat illusory. She paid a heavy price. When I woke up, I was lying on the soft bed in the temple. Ji Yuning was sitting by the bed, quietly looking at me. Her face was paler than before, but I could feel that the fatal sense of crisis that had been locking onto me had completely disappeared. Seeing me wake up, she smiled at me more gently than ever before. Junior brother, you're awake? Are you hungry? I grabbed her cold hand, a little worried. Senior sister, how long have I been asleep? Did you overexert yourself? She shook her head, grasped my hand in return, and kissed it at her lips. No, just a little tired. A kiss from Shitty, and I'll be fine. I don't know what she sacrificed for me during the time I was asleep. I only know that this woman used everything she had to create an absolutely safe haven for me. After returning to the sect, my relationship with Ji Yuning became an undeniable fact. Although I accepted her love with a clear conscience, another problem gave me a headache. My family. My father, Lin Dafu, was just a small landlord in Qingzhou City who made his fortune with 100 acres of immortal fields. My mother was just an ordinary mortal woman. And Ji Yuning was the Yunmiao sect Saintess, an unattainable existence in the entire cultivation world. With such a mismatch, if my parents knew, they would probably faint on the spot in shock. More importantly, I worried that the sect elders would think that my Lin family was reaching too high by marrying the Saintess, which would be detrimental to my family. I anxiously told Ji Yuning about my concerns. After listening, she just touched my head and said dotingly, Silly Shitty, what's there to worry about? Tomorrow, I will go home with you and personally propose marriage to uncle and aunt. The next day, Ji Yuning really took me back to the Lin family in Qingzhou City. When Ji Yuning and I appeared together in the Lin family courtyard, my father sprayed tea all over the ground. My mother also spilled the melon seeds in her hand. Looking at Ji Yuning, who was ethereal and seemed like a goddess descended to earth, they were so nervous that they couldn't even speak properly. Saintess, why have you come? My father bowed, tremblingly, bending his waist almost in half. Ji Yuning personally stepped forward and helped him up. Uncle, no need to be so polite. The reason Yuning came today is to propose marriage to the two of you. My parents were completely dumbfounded. Propose marriage? To whom? My father mustered the greatest courage of his life and stammered. Holy maiden! Your Highness, are you interested in? My Lin Yi Yue, ning noted seriously. My father's legs went weak, and he almost couldn't stand. After thinking for a long time, he finally squeezed out a sentence. I don't know. The dowry. In his opinion, our family's ancestral graves were emitting green smoke. Being able to marry the holy maiden, we probably had to offer the entire Lin family as dowry. However, Ji Yuning shook her head and corrected him. Uncle is wrong. It is I who am marrying Lin Yi. She paused, seeming to think it wasn't appropriate, and added, No, more accurately, I am marrying into the Lin family. My father, my mother, and I were all stunned. Before we could react, Ji Yuning took out a token engraved with clouds and auspicious clouds. This is the Cloud Mirage Sect Master Token. To hold this token is to see the Sect Master in person. With this token here, The Cloud Mirage sect will protect the Lin family for generations to come. She then took out an ancient animal hide map. This is a map to the cave of an ancient sword immortal. The resources inside are enough for the Lin family to produce more than 3 immortals within 100 years. My parents were so frightened they couldn't speak. Ji Yuning walked to my side, naturally took my hand, and then said to my petrified parents, "I only have one request." Her gaze fell on me, full of undeniable possessiveness. "He is mine, and always will be. These things are the reward for you helping me look after him." My dad's legs went weak, and this time he really sat down on the ground, but a look of ecstatic joy appeared on his face, and he nodded quickly. Of course. We will definitely help you look after him. We'll make sure not even a female mosquito gets near him." I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Looking at my dad's expression like he'd struck gold even after selling his son, I completely gave up struggling. Whatever, I'll just lie flat. This life of being kept by a sugar mommy, it seems, actually pretty great. My and Ji Yuaning's dual cultivation ceremony was held with extreme grandeur. Almost all the influential figures in the entire cultivation world came. The once high and mighty Chosen One, Xiao Fan, and the self-righteous Su Ro were also invited to the scene. They were arranged in the most remote corner, their faces ashen, watching us, the center of attention on the stage, their eyes filled with resentment and unwillingness. The sect leader personally presided over the ceremony, announcing that I and Ji Yuaning were officially joined as Dao partners. The whole audience erupted in applause. Ji Yuaning took my hand and, in front of everyone, spoke again. Her voice, through spiritual power, spread throughout the entire Yunmiao sect. From this day on, I, Ji Yuaning, will still be the holy maiden of the Yunmiao sect, guarding the sect, even if it means dying 10,000 times. Everyone nodded. This made sense. But her next sentence caused an uproar throughout the entire place. "And Lin Yi is my faith, my Tao, my master." The entire plaza was instantly silent. Everyone looked at me with a look of divine wonder. The Holy Maiden's master? What an outrageous title. My heart was filled with endless shock and a madly passionate love filled with this favor. Night. Inside the bridal chamber, red candles flickered. Ji Yuaning personally helped me remove the elaborate wedding gown and pour me a cup of nuptial wine. In the candlelight, she shed the coldness and domineering air of the day. Her eyes shimmered with watery light. She was no longer the aloof holy maiden, but a captivating enchantress belonging only to me. She gently embraced me from behind, her warm breath caressing my ear. "Junior brother, from today onwards, you can never escape." I put down the wine cup, turned around to pull her into my arms, and lowered my head to kiss her lips. "I won't escape. I'll never escape again." A glint of cunning flashed in her eyes, like a fox who had succeeded. Really, she took something out of her storage ring. It was an anklet, even more exquisite than the bracelet on my wrist before. The gems inlaid on it glittered with alluring light. "Then put this on too, okay?" I smiled. Without the slightest hesitation, I extended my ankle, allowing her to personally put it on for me. This was my shackle and my glory. She looked at her masterpiece with satisfaction, then raised her head and kissed me. The red candles cast a warm glow on the bed curtains. This would be a sleepless night. I willingly, completely surrendered myself to her love, which was both crazy and sweet. Life after marriage was sweet and suffocating. Wherever I went, Ji Yuaning followed, like a clingy, large feline. When I ate, she served me food. I cultivate, she protects me. I read, she sits quietly by my side, gazing at me adoringly. A new junior sister, not knowing the rules, wanted to come and ask me about a swordsmanship problem. The next day, that junior sister was gently persuaded by Ji Yuaning to quit and was transferred to the sex kitchen to cook. The reason was, she felt that the junior sister had a lot of talent for cooking and shouldn't waste it on practicing swords. From then on, no member of the opposite sex dared to approach within 3 feet of me. I became the most transcendent and idle person in the entire Cloud Mirage sect. I didn't need to do any tasks, and the best cultivation resources in the sect would be continuously delivered to my cave. Whenever I encountered any bottlenecks in my cultivation, she would use all sorts of unimaginable methods to help me solve them easily. My cultivation base rose rapidly like a rocket. I became the well-known kept man of the sect. But I ate with peace of mind. However, sometimes I would find her sitting alone by the window, lost in thought. The incredibly powerful aura on her body would show a moment of weakness and instability, but she quickly concealed it. I asked her what was wrong. She only said that she was a little tired from cultivation lately, and then came closer like she was acting spoiled, wanted me to kiss her to make her feel better. I knew she was lying to me. Once, a supreme elder from an opposing sect, using some kind of secret technique, infiltrated the Cloud Mirage sect, wanting to assassinate me, the Holy Maiden's weakness. Before he could even get within 100 meters of my cave, he was silently turned into ashes, soul and spirit completely extinguished. And at that time, Ji-Yuning was sitting beside me, leisurely peeling grapes for me, without even raising her eyelids. I suddenly understood in my heart. This peaceful and quiet, carefree and idle life of mine was her bearing the burden for me. It was she who blocked all the storms that could hurt me in places I couldn't see. That night, I didn't read as usual. I hugged her from behind, burying my head in the hollow of her neck. Senior sister. No matter what happens in the future, let's face it together, okay? Her body stiffened for a moment. Then, she turned around, smiling incredibly brightly, like a child who had received candy. Okay. At that moment, I saw the long-hidden weariness in the depths of her eyes seem to dissipate a lot. 100 years passed in the blink of an eye. I was no longer the boy who needed her protection back then. With her help, I had grown into a great power in the immortal realm. But I was still firmly managed by Ji-Yuning. Going out for more than an hour required advance notice. I couldn't say more than a word to any member of the opposite sex, or even good-looking members of the same sex. Every night, I still had to be held by her like a doll to fall asleep. This day, I had just returned from drinking with an old friend in his cave, half an hour late. As soon as I entered the door, she pinned me against the wall. Where did you go? With whom? Why are you late? The death three-question combo. I pretended to sigh helplessly. Ji-Yuning, I'm at least an immortal venerable now. This is making me lose face. She didn't care about immortal venerable or anything. She held me in her arms and kissed me until I could barely breathe. What is face? You're mine. That's enough. I laughed, letting her do as she pleased. After we'd had enough fun, we snuggled together on the roof of the holy temple, watching the starry sky. 100 years in the immortal realm, peaceful and serene. I know this peace wasn't easily won. I looked at the starry sky and suddenly asked her, Senior sister, if we could do it all again, would you still choose to lock me up? She was silent for a moment. Then, she turned her head and looked into my eyes with utmost seriousness. Yes, and I would do it sooner, tighter, so that you wouldn't have even the slightest thought of escaping. She leaned close to my ear, whispering in a voice only we could hear. I once thought you were my salvation. Only later did I realize you are my only desire. For this desire, I would slaughter all gods and Buddhas, overturn heaven and earth. My heart jolted. Then an endless warmth flooded my entire body. I held her tightly, returning the embrace. I will never know that her slaughter all gods and Buddhas was not just a metaphor. She really did suppress that aloof destiny system, for me, reshaping the rules of the entire world. But that no longer matters. I kissed her lips, feeling her obsessive and profound, bone-deep love. Willingly, I sink into this eternal and sweet prison called Ji-Yuning. For all eternity.